You are listening to the Creative Women's League podcast. I'm your host and biggest fan, Kate Toney. Creative women entrepreneurs all over the globe turn to the Creative Women's League for social media advice, marketing help, and to get their minds in the mode to achieve bigger than they ever thought possible. Whether it's hearing the journey of your favorite creative badasses or the expert business advice shared, CWL is here for you with a whole lot of laughs, heaps of honesty, and endless support. Because over here, we know the secret sauce to building your creative empire all starts with motivation, inspiration, know-how, and community. If you want to exceed every goal, defeat the doubt, cast out fear, and connect with your fellow creative Wonder Woman, well, my dear, it's time to join the Creative Women's League. Hi, everybody. It's Kate. I am so excited to be with you this Wednesday. I have a special guest.
Am I a special guest at this point?
Yes. I think it still counts because... Do you think we should start over since my laugh is so loud?
No.
And just bust their eardrums.
Yeah.
Honestly,
just keep it in.
If you've been a listener of the show for a while, you're used to my laugh just tearing through your eardrums, I think.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's also my editing style. It's like, nah, we're gonna keep it
in. Keep it in. Keep it real. Are you gonna introduce yourself or am I introducing you?
I liked where you were going, where you introduced me. So just keep going.
Just brushing it off onto me, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So this is my boyfriend, and what?
No, I gave Kate like a look like a boyfriend. No, yeah, I'm Kate's boyfriend, Brad. I've been on the show twice now.
Yeah, we did 2 Mindful Mondays together.
Yeah.
And people loved the episodes. Don't know why. You're rather boring, but they liked you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe it's just our witty repartee.
I'm just such a sparkling conversationalist
that
I make your content better.
Hey. You know, you can't do better than perfection. So, anyway, you guys, Brad's here with me again today. You guys loved when it happened. You guys loved him being on the show last time. I was actually rather surprised.
Wow. Thank you.
I was surprised at the response because it was special for me to have you on the show, and I really liked what we did. But once I realized that everybody else was responding so well to it, I was like, oh, dang. People like him.
It's almost as if I have my own show with my own
following.
Yeah,
well. Brad does have experience being on a podcast. He has the Orlando Soccer Show.
Yep, that's what we're called now.
That's it now. Not the 4th official anymore, baby.
Yeah.
Fourth unofficial.
Right. We decided that we wanted to seem more professional.
Okay. That's not happening with you in Austin, but
nope.
Yeah, so if you are one of our Orlando listeners, if you like Orlando City soccer, mostly focusing on the Pride right now because Orlando City is biting the big one.
Pride too, but
the Pride did as well. As you can see,
we've been focusing more on like the colleges right now. We just did an interview with both of Rollins colleges, the men's and women's coaches. I believe Austin is working on getting access to UCF.
Oh, nice.
For this week's episode. I'm not sure if that's happening or not yet, but we're doing a big local push. We're going to try to do something for the Seawolves, which is the new indoor soccer team. We don't just focus on MLS. We also do NWSL, the colleges, and our new indoor soccer team as well.
There you go. So Brad has experience being on a podcast, much different tone, much different subject than this one.
Yeah.
And this episode, honestly, I'm not going to edit it, as we just said with
as we've
Brad.
established already.
Alfred is around here somewhere chewing on a bone. We tried to get him out of the room. We are on a... Hold on. We're on a creaky table. I don't know if you heard the creaky table. But, this is it. We're going to talk about our real life today because The past episode, we talked about navigating a relationship. One of the episodes, we talked about navigating a relationship while you're both being creative, entrepreneur badasses, honestly. When did we do that episode? You were already out of Orlando City at that point, right? I'll see you here, Alfred, in the background grumbling.
I don't know if I was out of Orlando City by that point.
Okay. Well, just to catch everybody up, Brad was working for Orlando City in the front office, having his podcast on the side.
I had to give it up for a little while.
Yeah, I had to give it up for a little while because Orlando City said, no.
Yeah, which I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you went back to school, getting your master's in PR at Full Sail.
Yep.
And you've got a lot going on with Full Sail. So
yeah, I've got some different projects I'm working on. None that I can really talk about right now. Once I get more details about them, then I can probably get the okay. But
really, for the purposes we're talking about here, it's just that your time is taken up.
Yeah.
Your time is taken up. You guys know I have a day job at the salon. I've been busting butt this summer to get stuff ready for Bernina. We are on the heels of my first Bernina trip, which Brad is coming with me. And I have you guys. And I'm just watching everything morph and take shape this summer. Brad's been a huge part of helping me stay sane and not crying out of frustration as much as possible. I cry a lot. But ultimately, we're two people who have a butt ton going on, and now we live together. So it's been interesting, I would say, to balance all the things we want to get done, all these hopes and dreams we have for our future together, staying true to our career paths and what we want to do, and still creating time for each other, not getting lost in all those things. Thoughts, comments?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, and trying to make time for one another while we have our own schedules. I'm pretty much booked during the weekends with stuff that I'm working on, and then throughout the week I have my classwork for my master's degree. So it's kind of tough. I mean, the benefit is now we're at least living together, so
yeah.
we do have time to
And we have a couch.
And we have a couch, which seems like something that people that live together would have.
Well, now that we have the couch in the sewing room for so long, but that just felt cluttered and crazy, and it felt like we were, honestly, for a lot of the time, it felt like we were both shoved into space that was supposed to be my space for creating things.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt weird for a while. That didn't feel right. Now that we have this couch out in the great room.
I don't think I've really been in the sewing room much since this couch is.
No, I know. And then I have mixed emotions about it, right? Then Brad leaves the sewing room and I'm like, I'm all alone sewing now. So that's a whole nother episode. But yeah, you're right. Because we can sit down like last night. You were working on stuff and I was getting the last of my Bernina stuff in order. But we're on the couch together. We can reach out and bother each other. Mm-hmm. Do you like how I didn't say love on each other? I said bother each other because that's more
really,
what we...
That's more accurate.
That's more accurate than I just like face palm you from across the couch.
Stick my foot on your face.
Yeah. Thank God you haven't done that. Oh, that would be it. End it. So, the hard thing, it's just about being in balance. And I think one of the biggest issues we have is that, we're learning to marry two personalities in a house. We're learning to marry two very different schedules in a house. Learning to cohabitate with two, right? I mean, very different styles of keeping the home or just existing in the home. It's a lot.
I'm very much a morning person.
Yeah.
And you can be.
I try, but it's not natural to me.
Right. And so when I'm up first thing in the morning, like my first instinct is just get out of bed.
I know.
And so like sometimes like I'll feel bad because you'll still be asleep, and I'm like, I don't want to disturb Kate, so I'll just be like laying there for a minute, and then I'll be like, no, I can get up now.
Yeah, you can get up. It is interesting to pile, because I've talked about it a lot on the show, and that's why I wanted to have this episode. That's just a very real episode. You and I kind of, it's like you guys are listening in on some couples therapy. Because it all plays into it, right? Like all these little things of, I'm not a grump. I think that the difference is like when I get up in the morning, I'm not like a grumpy, don't speak to me until I have my coffee
not
person.
Like, you're just like not all there yet. Like it takes like a minute to like.
I'm a slow to get out of bed.
Yeah. Like you're
alive at night kind of person.
Yeah. And then what's funny is like as the day wears on, like towards the end of the night, I'm just like, I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah.
Like I realize when I hit like my limit, and so I'm just going to go to bed, and then you'll still be like out working for like another hour or two. So
yeah, I'm like, it's only 11. I want to
like,
be a morning person, though. I work on it.
And meanwhile, I'm like, no, it's 11. I'm going to go to bed.
So I think one of the snags that we have hit has been that your time and my time, like the times we're busy and the times we have to chill, are so opposite right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the biggest aha moments I've had recently about being in a home with somebody else and having such a busy schedule, because I'm the kind of person who loves to stay busy. I almost have to stay busy. Is communicating with you about like what I have going on, and because I'm not really like a list or a planner person, but I've realized I have to communicate it to you. Like, hey, I have to get this blog out. I have 2 episodes I have to record. I have this. That's what's on my agenda for the next 2 days.
And I'm very much a list and a schedule kind of person.
Yeah.
Like if I know like what I'm doing each day, and if it's like written down somewhere and I can just reference it really quick, then I'm set.
Yeah.
If I'm just sort of like left to my own devices, like I can just end up sitting on a couch the whole day.
Yeah.
Like if I don't have something in front of me that says like what it is I need to do, like I won't do anything, because then I'll there's things that I know I'll need to do, but I'll just figure like I can get to them later.
Yeah, and I think what I'm more directly referencing is the fact that you and I haven't been good about communicating our schedules to each other.
Right.
So I think you have nothing on the agenda for the day, and you're just like sitting on the couch staring at me like, what are we going to go do? What are we going to go do? And you're not. You've got a butt ton going on. Or you'll be like, well, you're just sitting there on the computer. Why don't we go do Disney? And I'm like, no, I have 6 emails to get out in the next hour, and I have this, and I have that, and I have that. So I think that one of the biggest aha moments we had recently was when you're like, you literally said to me, I don't know what's going on in the Creative Women's League. You don't tell me these things, so how would I know? And I was like, good point. You don't know. Like,
right.
If you don't know that I'm trying to push to get this next, trying to push to get 2,500 followers, or trying to do this or start this initiative, then how would you know that? So I've tried in the past, I don't know, it's been like a few weeks, to just more communicate with you where my time is going, how my time can be best used. And it's brought you in on a lot of it, I think. Yeah,
I'm definitely more aware of what it is that you're doing now. Like once we've made it clear to each other that, we just want to stay in the loop, that's really it. Just so, this way we can, I know what your schedule's like, so this way I know like when we can sort of do things together.
Yeah.
And that, because to me, like spending time and doing, like it's nice to, be around another person, but like really I like going and doing things and taking out time, to sort of just spend time away from the house with one another. That's really my big thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a discussion about it recently where you're saying like okay, but we need designated date time. And for you and I, we both blame the other person more. But for you and I think it's everybody. We tend to grab our phones. If there's a lull in a conversation or whatever, we tend to grab our phones. And we've been a lot more aware about that and like putting away our phones during meals and really talking. And we end up talking about the silliest stuff, but it's just nice time together.
But it's I mean, even just a meaningless conversation is still better than,
you sitting there on Twitter and me sitting there on Instagram, because those are our platforms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are our platforms. That's what we like to do. So here's a question. This is completely off the cuff. So I guess I can edit it out if the answer doesn't go in my favor.
I mean, we've gone this far without deciding to edit stuff out. So.
Well, this question's going to be, I think, a bit of a doozy. What is one thing I can do better as your girlfriend, who is like, we've covered that I'm mega intense. We've covered that when I say I want to do something, I mean I want it done and perfect by the end of the night. And I have the self-critique comes first, I guess. And I think I have a hard time allowing myself some, like playtime, right? Mm-hmm. But so we've kind of talked about that together as a couple. So now I'm going to ask you, what is the one thing I can do better as your girlfriend, as a creative business owner girlfriend, to be a better partner for you?
That's a fun question.
I told you it was going to be a doozy. But
no, I think
keep it clean, okay?
Oh, well, that changes things. No, I think the way we prioritize different tasks, it could not be more different. I don't think. For me, I'll approach something and I'll want to take a little break, sit down a spell, and then I'll get up and I'll get moving to the next thing. I think just recognizing that, and I think we both need to do this, is that for me, just recognizing the way you prioritize tasks is different than mine, in that, I'm the kind of person where if it's not life threatening there at the moment, if the world isn't going to end, if I don't approach it right now, then I'll keep it off for, a while.
Yeah.
But things that I absolutely know need to get done, those I will approach. Like today, for example, we spoke about this yesterday. We're about to leave for about a week here. And one of the things that we realized is that, we need to get food for the dogs, before we leave.
Yeah.
And so I'd forgotten to go out and get it yesterday while I was out. And so today, when I was running errands this morning, I made sure on the way home to pick up enough turkey so that we could get food for the dogs. Things that I know have a definite deadline that we need to get stuff done by. That's the stuff that I will prioritize over something that might not necessarily have an immediate effect for
Well, yeah, I work up against a deadline, but I like to coast into the deadline. I still have things to do to get ready for the trip, and we're up against that deadline. I mean, it's major. But you are no joke, work up against the deadline. You're working till, if you have to have something done by 5 p.m., then at 4:30 p.m., you're putting the finishing touches on it.
And I've always been that way, just because I feel like it working up closer against a deadline, I feel I thrive off of that kind of pressure, where if I know something is if it's gonna have a detriment to me in some way if I don't get this done, then I'm okay, I'm not gonna hurry through it and do a half-assed job on it.
Right.
I'm going to allot myself enough time that where I know I can do a good job on it. But if it's just something that's like, if there's like a deadline that's like a month, 2 months out, I'm like, okay, there's stuff that's gonna there's stuff that's gonna pop up between here and there that I'll need to take care of that's more pressing. So that's the way I'll do it.
It drives me up a wall, you guys. Because okay, so if there's a 5 o'clock deadline, I'll be putting the finishing touches on at 2 o'clock. So it's still last minute, but I give myself some more breathing space because it can end up fudging you. Like with the ID, because now we have no more days to work on that. So if it doesn't get done, then you're going to be doing extended security on the way back, and I will not.
No, it's one of those things that's like, it's one of those things where I've always kind of like made sure that I can, that I can make sure to get it done when I need to get it done. And then, I try to make a concerned effort to like not, rush through things.
So bringing it back to the point of the question is basically what you're asking from me is more understanding on the way that we like to get things done. Because I'll be like, we should paint this wall. Let's go to Home Depot right now and paint this wall. And you're like, we should paint this wall. Go off and do something else kind of thing. Like, I'm next level intense on when I want something done.
Yeah, and I mean, when I want something done, like I'll be just as enthusiastic to get it done. We bought market lights to put up in our backyard, and that was a project that I wanted to get done. But it's just, it's one of those things that like, the whole reason why we didn't get it done is we just kind of came to an agreement that, we would work on things after we had gotten this trip taken care of.
Under our belt.
Yeah. So we just wanted to wait a little bit, and that, I understand the reasoning in that. So this way we're not, overloading our plate, right before we do something.
Which I just do anyway. It's one of the things I'm always talking with the listeners about how I have to scale back on that because I just load everything up onto my plate.
And see, that's a big thing for me is establishing that sort of work-life balance where, you have enough time in your day to sort of just relax and, not let your day-to-day stresses overwhelm you because you're going to have it. I kind of approach things like a TV season. Like you're going to have like one overarching theme throughout the whole season, but then like episode by episode, there's going to be things that like sort of build on you. So like day by day, you're going to just have daily stresses, but then you're going to have some projects that, you're going to be working on for the long term that are also going to be bringing you stress. So you want to be able to balance that out and sort of mitigate that stress because stresses are never going to go away. But you just do your best to sort of mitigate them and sort of make sure that you're not overwhelmed by the end of the day. And so, I try to make sure, I put a lot of stock in self-care. And so I try to make sure that I'm not approaching that point where I'm feeling overwhelmed. Yeah.
Well, and these are all definitely things that I've had to, really stop and think about and self-assess. And there's been a lot of self-assessing that's gone on with it and a lot of like understanding you and where you come from because we're very different in these ways. Like you're a company man. You really love to work for you love to work for Orlando City. You love to work for like the Nationals. You worked with the Washington Nationals. You love that feeling of being a part of a bigger organization and putting something on. And I'm like, don't tell me what to do. I'm going to be my own boss.
When it comes to working in sports, it's a lot of the experience of it too. It's not just working for a team or a league. I like being a part of the experience of putting on that of putting on that game for people and seeing fans come to games and stuff like that's to me like that's about as fun as anything else. Like I get to. My job is at a stadium, and I would watch a game on the clock. and not have to pay to go to it. And then B, like, I get people excited to come to games.
Right. For the purpose of what I'm talking about, though,
right.
That's hard for me. Because I'm always like, we're going to be our own bosses. And you're like, I don't want to be my own boss. So that's something I've always had to, like, I've recently realized I had to scale back. And just realize where you're coming from on it. You like those things. You like those experiences. You like being a part of the team. And I don't anymore. Like, I'm ready to make my own team. I'm ready to make my own team. And there's also the element of, like, oh, I lost the thought. What was it? There's the element of, well, of course, how we approach deadlines is hugely different. How we approach free time is hugely different, because you're like, yeah, but can't we go just walk around the theme parks together? And I'm like, yeah, we can, but I've got this, this, and this. Like, if there is a gap in my time, I'm going to fill it. And you're not going to do that. That's not how you said recently. I really like free time to do nothing. And in that moment, I had to realize, oh crap, I don't give myself any free time. Partially because there's nothing I'd rather be working on. Like, there's few things I'd rather be doing. I love what I do and what I am fitting into my day. So people at work were talking at the salon. They're talking about, they're like, oh, well, give yourself a night off and come hang out with us at the bar. And I was like, first off, that is a night on. Like, that is way more work to me.
Having to be around people you work with.
Having to be at a bar, which I don't like to do. I don't really drink. With these people, I mean, I'm like, no, that is way more work to me than sitting on the couch and writing a blog is. That's my wheelhouse. That's what I love.
Yeah.
And I guess in those moments, that's when I realized, I realized that's really what I love to do. And B, it's just been interesting to figure out these things about each other on a big scale and working.
So you had mentioned some of my previous work experience, but I think both of those stem from another place I used to work, which was being in the Army.
The Army, yeah.
Being a part of a team, being a part of, like, working in a place where you're going to get, like, the experience of working for something, having deadlines that, you know, you're either working right up against, you know, the clock there to make sure you're maximizing all your time while you're working on it, having different things pop up, that priorities where if you have something that doesn't need to get done for a while, and then making sure that you can still manage your day-to-day things that are going to pop up. The biggest thing when I was in the Army, they were really focusing on mitigating stress and making sure that, you know, you're in a good place and making sure that you have a solid work-life balance, because, you know, there's a lot of external stresses and internal stresses that arise from being in the military. And so, you know, making sure that you can manage those properly is a big thing. So for me, just having the background that I'm in, when I start to feel overwhelmed, I'm like, nope, I'm just going to stop. I'm going to go sit down, relax. And I'm going to unwind for a minute, let myself cool off, and then I'm going to come back and reapproach it.
Well, and I'm telling you, like, Brad and I had a big talk recently because we kept being at odds on how to do things in the house and how to do things, really just how to do things at the house. And other issues kept getting tossed in, but this was one of my, you know, then you go like, yeah, but we never hang out on a date, you know, like the other things that get tossed in. But one of my biggest aha moment, I actually told, you know, Holly Ann and I are always talking on Boxer. I told Holly Ann as I was driving to work, I was like, oh, I just had the biggest epiphany. Brad comes from the Army. Brad comes from working for big organizations. He just told me that he loves being a part of that experience and having the whole thing and working as part of a team. And my mind just exploded. Like, I think that's I think boiling it down to me working to get out of jobs where I'm a part of a team, you know, I don't want to say get out of being a part of a team.
You want to wear multiple hats.
I'm the entrepreneur. Yes. Yeah. I have the entrepreneur brain that's like, not only will I initiate this role, I will I'll put it into action. I'll write the steps that I have to do it. I'll do it all. And you're like, no, give me the list of what you need done. Give me when you need it done by, and I'll have it done perfectly. But it's just right there. That boils down to who we are.
It's a difference between working in like a department and working for yourself.
Yes.
It's that experience of like, okay, I'm working in conjunction with someone here to make sure something gets done versus you having to juggle all these things at the same time.
I just really think it boiled down to being the fundamental difference about you and I, which was a big aha on how you work. Like when I'm saying, let's clean the house, and you're like, tell me what you want done. And I'm like, I want the house cleaned. And you're like, no, like, tell me what things you want me to focus on. Right there, that's our two things. I'm like, I want the house cleaned, get it done. Like, find a spot and clean it. And you're like, no, that's not how my brain works. And in those moments, I was like, boom, like, oh, duh. Army Brad, Orlando City Brad, got it. It just made so much more sense to me.
Yeah. It's not so much of like not being able to figure those things out.
No, it's not that.
Wanting to contribute in a way that, you know, the other person knows what it is you're working on, and that you don't have to like double check on them, and making sure that what they're doing is you just let them do their thing, and then it'll get done.
I think one of our greatest strengths as a couple is our communication skills. What do you think about that?
This whole episode started out like we weren't communicating.
Well, no, because you and I've been in couples that don't. I have been half of couples that don't communicate.
I think our greatest skill as a couple is the fact that we're both willing to like set aside our own point. We're willing to concede to the other person. We're not so stubborn in a way that, you know, we're always going to hold something against the other person. It's like, no, they're right. I can see why we're willing to view the other person's like thoughts on it.
Dr. Phil always says, "Would you rather be right or happy?" And I think you and I always come down to we want to be happy. We love each other, and no amount of me saying like I am not intense when it's clearly wrong.
Yeah.
No amount of me just being like I'm not that intense. I'm never gonna let that override you and I getting back to a happy place. But I think our communication is good. Like we don't let it fester. We don't let it. No, we come around to it quickly. And even if, I mean, our last set of like couple-ly disputes lasted over a couple days because we were trying to get the communication right on it. But then once we got the communication right on it, it was just done. You know what I mean? Like now we've gone through days of talking about it, days of getting our feelings out and trying to understand the other person. And I think on the other side of that, like, we've done great. I'm so freaking in love with you because we listened and we understand each other better now than we did before.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to a lot of is just willing to see where the other person's coming from.
Yeah.
And so I think we make a concerned effort to try to make sure that, you know, we understand the other person. And if we don't, I will try to be like, can you explain what you mean to me by that?
Yeah.
Like not being so afraid of just saying you don't know something.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a lot of people's problem is that they're just not willing to say they don't know something when they don't.
I think the main point of this episode really is just that we're a really perfect couple and we make zero mistakes.
Everyone should look up and aspire to us.
Look up and aspire to us, and we never get frustrated with each other at all anymore because we have this one discussion. Never. No, but really, it is obviously always going to be...
Like when I walked in from the grocery store and I saw you eating my Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Don't tell them I'm eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch. We've had a... oh, gosh.
I shouldn't say I'm eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
With Brad's family being in town and all those things, we have gone so far off of our awesome eating, and we are paying for it, let me tell you. My stomach hurts. So after DC, we're getting back into making my body happy mode because my body is so frustrated with me. We'll do an episode with me and my stomach.
Just you and your stomach talking to each other.
We'll be like, you can't have milk. Why are you
just
having...
the communication skills with you and your stomach. That's where work on it.
That's where the breakdown comes from.
Your stomach's telling you things and you're just not listening.
Not listening. Well, that's it. Wrap it up. No.
That's good advice.
That's it. That's good advice. I hate you so much. I just wanted you on the episode because I love when we talk together. And like I said, it's kind of just...
So do your listeners.
They freaking do. I hate it.
I'm
going to make this one bomb on purpose. No, I'm just glad to have you on and to chat with you about this. It was very... Like I said, I'm not going to edit any of it. I hope someone wasn't shaking the table too much. Brad. We'll go fight about this. No. Just to talk about the communication. We had brought it up before in the other episode, and I think that working through it as a couple in the home together, getting used to... We have a lot. We've had a lot on our plates this summer. Yeah,
and I think this last 3 weeks really has been like the most of it, really.
Oh,
just because we've had so much going on here in the house. We've been getting furniture sent to us and had my family in, and now we're going on vacation. So it's been an eventful couple weeks. So I think, just once we get back and we can really sort of, relax just a little bit.
Yeah, I won't have, I've had 20 plus samples to be sewing for Bernina. So if I'm not doing it, then I'm the kind of person where I'm sitting there thinking about how I should be doing it. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely going to give myself September to not really be focused on a lot of those kinds of things and really give myself some time to
celebrate Bradmas.
Brad calls his birthday Bradmas, and I hate it. It's
not just me.
No, his whole family does.
It's not just me. It's my family and friends will call it that too.
Anyway, we are cutting it here. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you are in a creative couple, I want to know about it. I want to know what's working in your couple, in your relationship, and if you're comfortable sharing it, I want to know what's not working, and we can talk about it. Like, you guys know I'm always here for you. This is an important element of being a creative entrepreneur. The relationships you bring in and the support and the awesomeness that you surround yourself with. And Brad's pretty awesome. Don't tell him I said that, but he's pretty awesome. So,
what's that now?
Nothing. You guys, subscribe to the podcast right now. If you don't know what that means, there is a button on iTunes, on Podbean, wherever you are listening to this, and it says subscribe. You hit it, and then these episodes come right to you. You don't have to go searching for them.
You're on Spotify now?
I'm not on Spotify yet. I need to get on Spotify.
Stitcher?
I'm on Stitcher. I don't know how Stitcher works. And I'm on Podbean. And I'm on iTunes. And I'm on YouTube. So hit subscribe. Because that's the biggest thing I have learned. Did you know this, Brad?
You say like, subscribe.
No. Did you know that the number one metric that iTunes looks for is subscribers? People thought for a long time it was reviews. They thought it was downloads. They thought it was all these things, but it's subscribers. How many people hit that button? Weird. How many people hit that button? So thank you. If you do that, you are helping this podcast get out to other people. I love you so much, guys. I love you. Go follow us on Instagram too. Creative Women's League. You'll see this kid's mug on there a few times. Few times. We live by 2 airports, so if you have heard all these airplanes, it's our whole day. And good job, Alfred. You did great. Bye, guys. Are you going to say bye, Brad?
Bye, Brad.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.